Hey guys, it's Troy here with another video, and wanted to share with you a couple of my latest acquisitions. And they're going to look a little familiar, one of which especially because I've talked about them fairly recently here on this channel. And the other one, hadn't really talked about it for about a year or so, and it's a Grail pen for a lot of people, and was one of my very first pens that I set as a Grail pen, and I just got it in the mail today. So let me show you. Let's start with something, and this is something I got today as well. I found this, and you're going, yeah, it's just a pen case, Troy. Yeah, well, actually, it's a little more than a pen case, but first, it is a Waterman pen case. Black leather, textured leather, and it came with these two in it. I've been a big fan of the Waterman Phileas since the 1990s. To me, the 1990s were Waterman's real heyday, so to speak, when it comes to modern fountain pens. Don't get me wrong, they still have some really good pens out today. But during the 1990s was probably my favorite time period for manufacturing for the brand Waterman and their modern pens. So, I'm going to share with you a couple of pens I picked up today. One is something I didn't even really know existed, but it came together with this other pen. This is a Waterman marker. Didn't even know Waterman had some felt tip markers that were going to be available. So it came with a cartridge already installed in it, and it actually writes. And I'll show you here. I was surprised that it was even inked, and that there was any ink inside that cartridge. But got it today, tried it, it's like, it writes. At least it did on my finger a little earlier. And then along with it came something, like I said earlier, I've been showing you some of, but didn't have this particular color. So I figured, with a good deal on the two of them together, it was kind of a no-brainer to me to want to pick up another Waterman Phileas, but this one in black and also in a broad nib. So I've got one in fine, I've got a couple in medium, and I've got one now not only in black that I didn't have previously, but also in a broad nib. And I think there's like two colors in the Phileas manufacturing that I don't have. One would be a purple. Been chasing down some of those. Apparently the purple ones must be really hard to come by because the prices on those are a lot higher than I've seen for some of the others that are out there in the other colors. But I start out with a blue marbled one, I've got a green marbled one, I've got a reddish one, and there are two colors in the red. One is a darker wet red and one is a much brighter red. So there seem to be two different reds that were in the mix as far as color combinations for the Waterman Phileas. But now I got myself a black one to add, and it is a cartridge converter pen, and it did come with an ink converter in it. And this seemed to be inked up at the time with some, almost looked like a diamine ancient copper as I was flushing this one out today. I haven't written with it yet, and you'll know why here in just a sec. And the reason why is because I got this in the mail today. Waterman Edson. Edson was the middle name of Mr. Waterman, who founded the L.E. Waterman Company, the E standing for Edson. So in the 1990s, I think, was an excellent, like I said, manufacturing time period, and they came out with the upper end pen of the Edson. I had previously shown you about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago, my first real big Grail pen acquisition was this right here. This is the Waterman Edson. Been looking at them, was specking them out, was going over trying to find a good Waterman Edson at a good deal. I wanted it to be in good condition. I wanted it to be the color that I wanted. I wanted it to be the nib that I wanted, and at a price I was willing to pay. And I found this as an excellent deal on the Waterman Edson in Boucheron. And the Boucheron simply means that the Boucheron Jewelry Company worked together with Waterman to do this. And it is a sapphire. You see there's some sapphire gemstones actually on it, and you actually have a real gold overlay on the pen and some overlay on the section. And you can see the construction of that nib. It should look fairly familiar to those of you who write today with modern Watermans. I'm going to show you a comparison here in just a little bit of another Waterman that's in production and compare it to a Waterman Edson. Okay, so that was the one that I got first, and this is, you know, one of the more sought after ones. I still am going to seek after some more Waterman Edsons. As a matter of fact, I saw a picture online of someone's Edson collection, and I was very envious. And this is what I would like my Edson collection to look like. Can't say I had an Edson collection until today, and I'm starting to fill that out just a little bit in this box here. I found this one right here.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
And as you can tell, along with the Boucheron, it is a sapphire in the Boucheron with all the overlays on it. The Waterman Edson, like you just saw from the picture, does come in different colors. You've got an emerald green, and you have a ruby red, you have the sapphire blue, you get the sterling silver, and you've got black. This happens to be what I think is the prettiest of the lot. I had been chasing down an Edson just because I had a wild hair that I wanted another Edson, and had been scoping them out and waiting, bidding on some I thought I was going to get. No, at the last minute somebody snatched it out from under me. Sometimes I would find one in emerald with a medium nib, and well, in the sapphire by the same seller. They had two of them. The sapphire was in fine nib. Not what I wanted. Why? Because the Boucheron that I have over here has a fine nib on it. And not that I have any problem with that nib, it's I wanted one in medium because I already had one in a fine nib, and I wanted to see how well the medium was going to do for me on a regular basis. So I got this baby today, and I inked it up. Now, I showed you earlier the section. You see that doesn't have as much of the gold overlay on it, but you've got that somewhat inlaid nib on it, very rigid nib. You have the little closures here. You have 1, 2, 3 of these little spring-loaded closures right there that grip that cap. All right, and then you've got a nice screw off, and then you've got a converter that goes with it. This particular converter, you can't really tell, but this is tainted blue. And for the emerald, it's tainted green. For the ruby, it's tainted red. So I put some Waterman Serenity Blue. I'm seeing if that'll show you any of the color of, probably not so much, but you can see the little turn knob here is blue as well. So it's a good hefty feeling barrel. So it's got some of that metal inlay in it. So you've got metal on metal for the threads. So metal on metal for the threads. You screw it back together, and you know you've got a good solid pen here in your hand when you go to use it. Snaps on good and tight. Good quality, good solid feel to it, and it feels like you've got a luxury pen in your hand. I do like the unconventional clip on top of that cap. I will tell you, I fell in love with this pen when I first saw it. The first time I ever wrote with one was at a pen show, but it happened to be a roller ball, and I really liked the look. I liked the feel. I really enjoyed the first time I saw an Edson. I want one, and it became my very first Grail. Like I said, I got the one in Boucheron first. A little backwards compared to how a lot of people would collect them. You know, I got one of the top ones first, but you know what? I'm quite happy with this one right here. So Let me give you a quick comparison between this and another pen in production, so you can see a few similarities in Waterman, and I'll show you how this writes, and I'll show you how that new felt tip marker of mine writes. I won't show you the Phileas because it's not inked up yet, and I won't show you the Boucheron and how it writes in a fine nib. Why? I wrote this one dry and I set it aside for me to clean, and I haven't cleaned it out yet, and I haven't re-inked it. So, you know, this one here is going to be cleaned up and put away for a while. Besides, I've got this one to play with for now. Alright, so here we go, and this is the felt tip marker that I told you about. So let's give it a try. So this is a Waterman felt tip marker. And it has a cartridge in it. Pretty good. Operates just like a Sharpie. So, you know, I'm going to have to track down some replacement cartridges because I'm pretty sure that I'll be using this a good amount ever since I found it. And, you know, I be liking it. Alright, so I told you earlier that the Edson actually reminded me an awful lot of a new production type pen. This right here is the Karen, the Waterman Karen. It is still currently in production and available, and you can see this one here, last I knew, I had set aside to be clean because it's just about running out of ink. But let me go ahead and pull that off. And I want you to be able to see the similarities in the nib design, the section design. There you go. And let's go ahead and roll it over that way. So you can see some of the similarities in the general shape, the fact that they're both inlaid nibs. They're both very rigid nibs. And, quite honestly, they're both very smooth nibs. So let's go ahead and write with this one. The Waterman Edson. This one has a medium nib. It is actually a pretty smooth writer. I would expect so. You can hear it, like there's really no feedback on this to speak of. But just a little bit there. You can barely hear it. But it does just glide across the page. Because of how rigid that nib is, don't really expect that you're going to get much line variation. You can press down a little bit and you're going to do good. But thus far, I've been using this all day long. I've written several letters with it just since I've gotten it. I've used it for all my note-taking today, and this is only day one of it. So this is day one. So far, so good. I do like the Edson. And actually, like I said, my first Grail pen, the first pen I ever went, ooh, 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 I love it. I've got to have one. So now I've got two. You know, I showed you that Waterman box. I've already told you once that I've got another Waterman giveaway coming. I won't tell you what's in the box, just that it is branded as exactly what the box says. But I'll be giving this away as my next giveaway probably. One of you viewers helped purchase that, donated some money and said, hey, for your next giveaway. I said, great. So I put it towards that, just as I said I would do for all the money that comes into this channel. Other than that, you know, like our video, subscribe to our channel if you don't already. T-shirts are available if you want. Look down below in the video description each and every time for not only links, but also for discount codes, 10% off any purchase at antiquedigger.com, and 15% off your very first purchase over at HeinzPens.com. So keep watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Ciao.